1864 comes along, Grant is promoted to Lieutenant General. He and Sherman decide how they will end the war. Grant will invade Virginia for the third time. Sherman will invade the state of Georgia and attempt to capture Atlanta. Spring comes, Grant goes into Virginia. He fights the Battle of the Wilderness, the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse, the Battle of Cold Harbor, and loses over 40,000 men in 5 weeks. But he doesn't turn around and go back to Washington. He continues pushing Lee farther south into the state of Virginia. They bypass Richmond altogether, and in July of 1864, the Union siege of Petersburg, Virginia begins. The two armies will stay locked together there until the following spring. Sherman makes excellent progress moving through the state of Georgia, and on September 2nd, 1864, he captures Atlanta, cementing re-election for Abraham Lincoln. Now, by the summer of 1864, music had gone from very patriotic, some pretty love songs like Lorena or Oralee, and then, of course, there were parody songs like Goober Peas, Grafted into the Army, I Go to Fights Miss Siegel, those kind of songs that poked fun at Army life. By the spring of 1864, the American Civil War cost our country, and this is a tough number for us to even imagine today, it cost our country 600,000 lives. It would cost another 150,000 by the time it ends in April of 1865. Tough number for us to even wrap our head around today. So songs had gone from patriotic, some pretty love songs, some silly songs. All the songs in the spring and summer of 1864 reflected the loss that the country was feeling, north and south. Songs like Weeping Sad and Lonely, Mother, I've Come Home to Die, Tending Tonight on the Old Campground. And this song that I'm going to do for you now was written by a songwriter by the name of John P. McNaughton. And McNaughton realized in the summer of 1864 how many families in the Union States were wondering what had become of their son. Of course, illiteracy was a lot higher in this country at that time. It was not hard to believe that there was an entire family on a farm someplace. There wasn't a book or a Bible nobody could read, nobody could write. The boy would go off to war, there was no identification on any of them. He'd get killed, thrown into a grave. Nobody had any idea what happened to them. By the end of the Civil War, there were over 100,000 men in that particular capacity. Nobody knew what happened to them. The Missing Soldiers Bureau was founded in Washington, D.C., and Clara Barton was in charge of that for 22 years. She and her staff would locate 88,000 Union soldiers, identify a tremendous number of them, and move them all to national cemeteries. But McNaughton realized that problem in the summer of 1864. And there were a lot of people that were wondering, where's our son? They say every time we hear somebody on the porch or knock at the door, we think he's come home. If you're familiar with Drew Gilpin Faust, she wrote a book called This Republic of Suffering, and it's probably here in the library, and it talks about how the country dealt with all the death of the American Civil War. And in there she tells how in 1895, the 30th anniversary of the war, they interviewed families who had lost a son and had no idea what had happened to him. And in 1895, 30 years later, they all said, we hear somebody on the porch or a knock at the door, we think he's finally come home. McNaughton would write a song called A Faded Coat of Blue, and it details the loss of a soldier in an unknown grave. My brave lad sleeps in a faded coat of blue. In a lonely, shallow grave lies a heart that beats so true. He sang faded hungry among the famished grave. They laid him sad and lonely within a nameless grave. No more the bugle calls a weary one. Rest, noble spirit, in thy grave unknown. I'll find you, I'll know you among the good and true. When a robe of white is given for a faded coat of blue. He cried, give me water, or just a little crumb. My mother, she will bless you through all the years to come. Tell my sweet sister Gentlemen,